Hey everybody, this module we are following the instructions from the Hong Kong workshop about denim washes. It's one of the techniques we are going to play around with as we try to make realistic denim. So watch that video, follow along with that video. You probably don't even need to watch this one, but I thought I'd give it a shot and work with you guys as well and see if I run into any bumps. And if anyone has any suggestions on things to make it look even more realistic, of course, please share. This is all pretty new technology, so let's work together and see what we can do. Okay, so I gave you 4 files to download. I gave you just a basic pair of denim pants and then some 3 wash files to add. The goal of this is to take the spray wash and use the graphic placement tool to place it. So this might be some of your guys' first time using that graphic placement tool, so that'll be a great experience. We're going to use the same tool to add a rip tear as well, but we're going to have to go into the 2D pattern to actually cut out a hole of the fabric so you can see the avatar skin underneath. So that will be a little bit of 2D work as well and a little bit of fabric manipulation as well. And then the third one is we're going to use a Topstitch tool and add this artworks to add some little grinding around the pocket edge or edge of your fabric wherever you want to do it. So so that's our 3 techniques we're going to play around with today, and let's go ahead and see how this goes. Of course, you guys can use the files I gave you, but you're also welcome to use your own artwork. I don't mind as well. I pulled these from Illustrator CADs actually, and I just saved them to be PNGs with a clear background. So you could probably do the same with any of your Illustrator work if there's certain tears that you really like or effects too. Okay, so I have my avatar opened. The easiest thing I think I'll start with is just putting the wash, this little spray wash on her. So to do that, I know in the video she's really organized and has all of her files saved in her library. That's great if you want to work that way as well. Today though, I'm just going to click the graphic placement button. So I clicked it one time, just kind of waiting. My computer's a little slow today. And I'm going to open up the file of where it's saved, and I'm going to choose spray wash. I can double click it. In this case, I clicked open. Now I get to choose where I want it. You can do it on the 3D window or the 2D pant. You can change the size if you like. I'm just going to say okay for right now. Okay, so now it's taking a minute to place it. Okay, after it places it, we're probably going to want to change some things about it. So you'll want to make sure you are able to open up your property editor. I'm going to go ahead and open up Object Browser and Property Editor. These are the tabs on the right-hand side. Okay, so right away, what is in Property Editor is the actual artwork that we brought in. So if we want to change the size or the placement, we can actually go ahead and do that. But the computer also switched tools to the graphic tool that has the white arrow. And maybe you guys remember in CLO, whenever there's a white arrow, that means you can edit and change an existing tool, basically. So, so that means if I click on this guy, I can actually change the size, or you can also type it in through the property editor, whatever you want to do. Now I want to actually change this graphic basically. So now the graphic is up here. So this box is only letting me change basically this one graphic of where it's placed. I could add other, copies of this exact same artwork, and then they would have their own property editor boxes. But I want to change the actual artwork. So this is kind of a CLO learning curve. So if I click the artwork up here, spray wash, I'm going to select it. You'll notice the property editor changed. So that means I can use this artwork in other places of the garment, and I'm changing the properties of it. Okay, anyways, moving on. I can change the name, all that good stuff. One thing I definitely want to do, I'm okay with it being fabric matte. I would like to change the opacity. I think 100 is a little bit too much. So in the Hong Kong video, I noticed she did 60%. It's kind of neat because you can visually just choose yourself. The Hong Kong video also picked out a very particular color. They actually gave you one of these little numbers to copy and paste. You can use their number, or you could try to pick out your own blue. up to you guys. I just want everyone to play around and visually see what happens and just make a decision on whatever you guys think is best. So there we go. Maybe because it's darker, maybe I will make it a little less opaque so you can kind of see it. So play around with it, but there we go. Looks like we kind of got a little bit of a wash happening. So that's our first step, is just adding a graphic, playing with the property editor details there as well. Okay, so the next one is we're gonna add another graphic, but this time the graphic has a hole in it. So we're gonna have to cut out on our 2D pattern to get to use some of the pattern drafting tools. So same thing, we're adding a graphic. I'm gonna go back to my graphic placement tool. I'm gonna go find my little rip tear, open it, and just place it wherever I see fit. Today it's gonna go over here. I think I'm just gonna lower it a little bit, kind of like to the side of her leg possibly. Put it wherever you guys want. Okay, here we go. I'm zooming in, panning up. So again, same thing with this guy. I can click the rip tear. Right now we can change the color maybe to that same color we were using. I did not save it. I probably should have saved it. I probably should have said add after I used it. Let's see, I feel like it was about this. Let's click add. There we go. Now it's there if I want to use it again. Apply, done. So I can do that. Oh, it's a little dark. I kind of like the white threads because denim is made with white and indigo threads anyways. Maybe I'll go back to the color and make it a much lighter. I might even just leave parts of it white. Okay. Okay, done. You guys play around with it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut out that hole. So I'm gonna use, I think I'm gonna use the internal polygon tool. So those of you guys that have experience in Illustrator using the pen tool, you're gonna like this tool a lot. You can click and drag and bring out handlebars. If you're not that good with the pen tool, you can just click a whole bunch of times. It's kind of like a little connect the dots. That works as well. Okay, I'm just kind of going around to where I can envision the hole to be. There we go. Okay, so I'm done. So now I'm gonna, well, it is selected. I'm gonna switch to this tool, the full selection tool, and let's see if it'll let me right click. Yes, and I can convert to whole. Okay, so it's cutting it out as, oh, actually, I don't think I want to do that. I'm gonna say edit undo, Command Z. I want to cut and sew because I want to keep the fabric there. And I'm going to make the fabric opaque. Okay, so here we go. I kind of found this out because I did convert to whole the first time I played around with this, but that doesn't work because you need the artwork on, like to coat over the hole a little bit. So you do have to do cut and sew. So you do have this piece of fabric here. That's here. Okay. Now, however, this is where I was getting a little bit confused. I think in the video she just made it, oh, I know, she changed this to fabric. She right-clicked and copied it to fabric. Let's see here. No, let me click this guy again. Assign to new fabric. Okay, there we go. So now it has new fabric on it. The fabric's white. And then I believe now is where she changes that white fabric to be opaque. So let's go find that, our opacity, bring that down to 0. So now it's just a graphic on clear fabric. There we go. And it should line up perfectly. Cool. So there you go. So that is adding the hole. And then the third thing we're playing around with is using our Topstitch tool to add some grinding. So here's the Topstitch tool. We're going to go ahead and add a new one. You can see the program comes with a lot of default ones, which is really cool. But we're going to add our own. Okay. So I just clicked the add button. There it is. It named it Topstitch 1. I can click it one time and change the name. I guess we're going to call it grinding today. And let's see. Okay, so then grinding is now selected. So that means the property editor window is going to reflect that new top stitch that we're working with. Kind of going through this. This is an OBJ, that's fine. We don't need to offset it, so we're gonna say not applicable. So the stitch count, I guess we just leave at 1. Now this SP, I cannot change it to NA for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why. I was playing around with this and I think it looked funny at 14. And so I ended up changing it down just to 1. But this is something we might want to play around with, and maybe we'll like the different effects. So we can come back to that. Let's see here. Our material. Okay, actually before we do material, I'm gonna upload the texture. So again, this is a weird 3D clothing. I feel like us artists, we're like, oh, it's a graphic, it's a print, you know, it's art. But in 3D, they call that stuff texture. So texture. So just click the little 4 boxes or click the actual box and find it. So ours, I'm gonna have to go to our folder, and it's called Grind Fray. Okay. There it is. Okay, so there it is. Now here also we can change the color as well if you'd like to play around with that. I believe we scroll down. Maybe I use that same blue color. I'll play with that in a second though, but that is something I know the video does as well. First, I'm gonna take the material type and I'm gonna change it so that it's like kind of hairy and furry. So we're gonna change the type to fur. Now see where it says render only? That means we're not gonna be able to see it in our little 2D window. We're only gonna see it in the render window. So if you haven't done that before, that will be a fun new thing to learn as well, how to view in the render window. Okay, so I don't really want fur. So there is another preset I can choose. So instead of default, we're gonna choose raw edge denim. That sounds great, perfect. Okay, let's just see what this looks like. So to go in the render window, choose render and choose render. I'm gonna zoom in to like where we're working so I get a nice little view. And then you click just anywhere in this little window and it's gonna start the interactive render. So here we go. What did we get ourselves into? What is this looking like? Okay. Don't really see much. Maybe I will change the color. Let's try that. Done. And then I will say stop in the render window and I'll hit replay. Let's see if that makes a difference. Oh, I know what happened. I have not applied the top stitch yet. I made the top stitch brush. I just didn't say where I wanted it on the denim pant. Awesome. So I'm gonna click this little X in the right corner to get out of this render window. And I'm gonna go ahead, I'm glad that grinding is selected, my brush. Maybe I will just change it back to like a much lighter color for now. Done. Okay, and I'm gonna add the top stitch. So instead of this little edit top stitch tool, I'm gonna choose the one underneath it, which is top stitch. Now this is kind of like your sewing tool, which is sort of neat. I think I'm just gonna use the segment one and just make it simple and go around this pocket because there's no like extra anchor points in it or anything. So I'll click one time. Okay, now it should have applied. Let's see. Now again, we have it set to that fur thing. So we might not be able to see it in the regular window since the fur is visible in the render only window. So yeah, I don't see anything. So now let's go ahead up to render, render, stop button, reset. Okay. Hey, we have something. Okay. So this is what it's looking like. So if you're worried like, oh, is that kind of hairy? Click the grinding tool again. So it goes to that brush. And let's look at the options that we have here. Dun, 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 dun. Intensity, we can change the intensity. For parameters, let's see what we get here. For shape, maybe the length doesn't need to be 1/2 inch. Maybe it should only be 0.25, okay? Maybe the thickness could be less. Oh look, it kind of, did it change it for us? Yeah, changed it for us. So you could play around with these as well to kind of get your frayed shape as well. Okay, that's up to you guys. Play with the color, all that good stuff. One other tip that you're welcome to play with if you guys have Photoshop is you could add a normal map. I'm gonna look at our tool. So it has the texture, but it doesn't have a normal map right now. And in Photoshop, they make it pretty easy to create a normal map. I actually just did it already. So I'll do File, New, or File, Open, sorry. I'm gonna hit Close. I'm just gonna X this guy out without saving it. No. Okay, so File, Open. And let's go ahead and open that little grinding fray brush that I was using. It's all just white color there. If you use their filter tool, you can go to Filter, it's under 3D, Create Normal Map. There's some options if you want to play around with it. At this point in my life career, I don't have a lot of experience with 3D, so in making normal maps, so I'm just going to trust the default. That you're welcome to spin that ball and see some other options and share with the class any tips that you'd like to share and recommend to us. I'm happy. That was it. Done. Let's move on. I'm going to export, just quick export to PNG, and I'll name it as a, what do you call it? A normal map. So fray, I'm going to say underscore normal. Maybe I'll add the word map. Okay. Save that. It's pretty easy. Now I can go back to CLO and go ahead under normal map, add that. Let's see if it makes a difference. Okay, there it is. Great. Maybe it makes it just slightly more realistic, possibly. Okay, I'm gonna X out of here. If you really want to play around with trying to get a realistic render, another tip would be is when you're done with everything, all of your changes, you can actually change the resolution, right? Right now, the file is saved at a working particle distance, so it's rather low so that your computer doesn't slow down. But when you're ready for a high quality image, you can actually make your particle distance much smaller so that the render comes out a bit more realistic. So there is a tool to use to do that just kind of automatically. I'm working on just a small screen today. Let's see if I can find it. Make my screen a little bit bigger. There it is. Okay, so this button right here, if I click and hold it, you can see there's some options. I'm just gonna choose high resolution, and I'm just gonna go with their default of 5 particle distance. That's fine. All of this, I'm just gonna say okay. And once I'm done, I'm gonna go back to the render window and take it from there. Okay, let's see here. Let me a little bit. There we go. Okay, so render. Okay, and I can say stop if I want. And there's all these options that you can use. This first one here is just, what size do you want this, orientation, your resolution you can type in. Do you want a background color? I personally like to do PNGs with clear backgrounds because it saves faster. I don't need it to render this background. It's not that important to me. It's easy for me to add a background in a different software program, honestly, than this like high-powered resolution, whatever. So in order to do that, I'm going to turn my transparency on for this one. You can give it a name here. So I'll just call it my Denim project. You can choose where to save it with this little folder right here. I'm gonna save this in my Denim wash project folder. It's gonna be PNG because I did choose the transparency to be on. And yeah, and then the next one is some camera details that you guys can play around with as well. The third one is light. This one's fun because they have some presets set up for you. So you can see like just presets of different lighting styles. So if you want something more dramatic with shadows, you can choose that, or anything you want. And you can also actually manually set lighting as well too. That's lots of comprehensive videos about that. But for today, I would say just have fun with the presets. They're pretty cool. And then what else do we have here? The next one is the render properties. I usually like to bring my noise threshold low. You can set your max render time if you like. You can change the quality. I guess I'm going to do very high. Why not? As well. And then when you're done, this is the image I'm going to be doing. You guys might want a different image, you know, like the whole pant or whatnot, but I'm kind of doing a close-up today. You just click stop, the little preview, and then you actually click the play button. And then this is like the real render. And you can see it down here. It's building it. It might take it 20 minutes. Well, probably no more than 20 because I have it set max at 20. But it might take less. I'm not sure. But a little window will pop up and let you know when it's ready, and you can go look at your file in the folder that you chose to save it at. So anyways, I want to make sure everyone is familiar with this render window because I know some students were asking, how come so-and-so's look so realistic? So play around with this tool and you'll get more comfortable with it. Okay guys, well anyways, any feedback to this assignment or suggestions to make these techniques look even more realistic, things you really like about it, things you don't, looking forward to hearing all that good feedback and can't wait to see how your projects turn out as well.